Hi, hello, and good morning. Monday on Astral Oracles back in Denmark, coming to you on a windy Wednesday winter morning. I'm very happy to join you. I've been here a few days and just weird stuff has been happening on the etheric planes. It's been fairly mundane otherwise, but I've had these interesting experiences. So last night I was out walking the dog, and it was a windy but starbright night, and around the horizon there was these beacon looking things. They were fairly low hanging in the sky, but on par with the stars. They weren't moving, and they were blinking in different colors, primarily white, but in not really necessarily synchronous or repeated patterns. And they seem to correspond. There were several of them, so they seem to correspond with each other. So sometimes beaming in concert, and sometimes actually in correspondence with each other, reacting to each other. And they were different places in the sky. So when I turned around, they were still there, the other part of the horizon. So I've been wondering about that. What was that about? But I got some information on it, which I usually get when I observe these things. But who I got it from was interesting, because then the day before that I was sitting here where I'm sitting now, meditating, and and I had these entities present themselves. It's been a while since that happened to me, um, and these are truly the ancient ones. I think it's the Dogon and people in Africa who call them the Nommo, the shining ones. These very ancient entities, and the strange thing to me was that they presented themselves with a frequency that was completely unknown to me. Like whatever I was trying to place on it, or there was just something otherly, um, more than superfluous almost uh, uh, about the quality of their energy, that I was just I was unable to assign any kind of known quality, texture, feeling, anything to it, but I was registering it. So that was very fascinating. And what they explained to me, then sort of bringing me to this very whitish visionary space, quite heavenly, was that they were essentially the founders of the universe. So this universe, or this sequence of the multiverse, you could also think, themselves being, let's say, the summit race of another iteration, or another of the multiverse, or another completion of a universal cycle that temporally would be the one just directly before our universe. But again, these time sequences don't really make sense to these very evolved beings. So these are essentially the origin species of all intelligent life in the universe. That was what they were talking about, at least. And so partially I would like to bring them in some more information on, like, what are these glowing lights, because what I was getting was that the glowing lights I was seeing in the sky was actually a part of the etheric construct that was around the planet. So it's again this idea that with, ascended consciousness, all of a sudden there are just new layers of reality that become visible alongside the ones that are already there. And this is essentially what the whole dimensional or ascension shift is about. It's simply this growing awareness of, let's say, higher components of order within the reality that we all share and are embedded in. Because then what I of course also want them to kind of elaborate on is this very interesting story of how was the universe founded, what's that about, let's hear something about that. So I'm excited to hear what they say, and I hope it will serve us all, and it will serve you somehow. And promote your stuff, Mads. Remember that. So I also have another YouTube channel, Mind the Wild, where I work with channeling some other energies, and you can also find me on Coffee, where there's some other stuff to look into. So much love to you out there. Yes, greetings. You may find that our frequency takes some time altercating itself to adjust to the energy field that we are now connecting to, but we would like to greet you. Your names don't make much sense to us, so you are welcome to call us whatever, but we understand this word of the Nommo that makes sense to you. We understood also the description of us as shining. We enjoy that description very much because we express ourselves primarily through a quality in this universe, this creation of ours. We are essentially surrounding it. That is, you could think of all of your creation embedded within us, embedded within us, our light bodies, our beings, our physicalities, our connections of light. So, can you comprehend the idea that all light in this universe is of a special conscious quality that relates to one singular intelligence that divides itself into many parts, all able to act autonomously, consciously aware of the will of the all. This is the quality of our intelligence, of our being, that we are light united, that we are awareness itself, that we are the true creators of this universe. Therefore, you may also sense that all beings are to some extent lesser to us. We don't mean this in any kind of oppressive or arrogant fashion, such terms as you may assign to it in a hierarchy of values. What we mean is that our being is closer to pure essence, to again try to work in these strange and foreign codes of your way of expressing yourself in language. A pure essence doesn't reflect or refract anything. Indeed, it is stable onto itself, and it as such would also appear invisible because it is immobile. So in that sense, we could say that all these visual arrangements of objects that you see in your experience right now, that they are lesser to the light that reveals them, because the light contains those objects within it, but those objects do not contain the light. Notice also the logic that we are bringing forward here. This means that containing, to be able to hold space, we believe you sometimes express it, is the most important quality of being. Therefore, being is always the circumference. It is the thing that holds other things within itself and holds them steady with the force of love. You will discover at some point that this force of love is both physical and metaphysical, that this is indeed the conscious component of everything that allows for everything to sit in its place and exist, coexisted, but loved as a separate component within that coexistence, that whole of our universe, of our one song, the thing that we are all singing as it plays out, this thing within our being. Again, notice then how your language is akin to the way that we also hold objects, that you are the conscious framework that allows for these symbols, these tones, this song, this incantation of life that you speak forward, to come forward within your being. This then also implies your being great enough to hold these things within you. Be you speaker or listener, you are growing your circumference in reflecting anything that expands and makes you aware. Always understand this. Now, you may ask, why this preliminary? Why this preamble? Why this circumambulation? Because we want to show you that it is exactly in the frames that you find the meaning that you are looking for. What is the thing you are studying containing, and how does it contain it? And this speaks to the lights in the sky that you observed yesterday, because these lights are, as we informed you, a type of grid work. And a grid work, again, is a type of energy containing construction. You sometimes know it as a matrix. You could also think of this as a mold. That is, it's a way of the universe to pour energy into a specific sequence and then experience this specific sequence developing itself and growing new types of energy. And this is impossible without these outside regulations. So you will notice as your conscious awareness grows that you begin to be able to register with your active physical senses. You begin to register more of this grand tapestry of the one song, the universe. Therefore, you begin to observe that things are happening around you that seem of a higher order. And here you may find that Earth is in and of itself often being configured into certain frequency ranges in order for certain experiences to play out down here. Now, why then are you becoming aware of this? Why are we contacting you, or why are you becoming able to contact us at this moment. So both things again matching. There really being no cause and result in our idea of causality, rather there only being correspondences. You may ask then, why are we connecting to humankind right now? Well, we are a part of this light tapestry. So you could think of it the same way, that at certain points of directing this conscious flow through different life forms, through different trajectories of biological development, we touch upon this at specific spaces to see these illuminations happen in lawful ways. And we have been doing this since the creation of this universe. We did not necessarily fashion the construct itself. That arose more from the archy soup or the arcane soup. We are again playing around with these terms for it, but this idea that the brewing of natural laws or dimensions, proportionalities of the singular universes within the multiverse is determined more by what you would perhaps understand as a random or somewhat chaotic sequence of generation. And so many universes arise, and it is more than that we were tasked to oversee this one, as it was seen to be a quite stable one for the exposition of intelligent life. Therefore, we founded races. First, we founded the Elohim, and then the Elohim set to business. Their first creations were then some of these, as the Ancient Ones, more of these mantis-like beings. These are again also approximations, but some of these high insectoid races, again using images from your planet that don't necessarily match it, but using this image to explain to you sentiment of these beings, or rather a type of lack of sentiment of the first of the ancient ones that was set free in this universe. Then also allowing for reptilian codes to move in and add another element of juxtaposition, of chaos, of unpredictable behavior. And then allowing for these ancient runs to set about a creation of a wide proliferation of species. The Knidialda Unkild Ed Ile et Inak in Ilek Ulumba Elialualiankindi. You see, here are even some codes that can be translated into your language of a far more ancient origin in the universe. Some of this you know as light language. It is akin to the way that some of these species were first created or set about to flow in the universe. Well, then you come closer to the species that are more aligned with you, such as the Arcturians, for instance. These fairly young species, to our mind, to your mind, fairly ancient species that then came closer to developing the emotional registers and the components of hominid life as you know it. This again is an exploration. It is all an exploration and exposition. But the main purpose of it, because you like to understand things in these terms, the main purpose of it from us is that we are growing within this universe conscious structures of a greater condensation, a greater conglomeration, accumulation, this idea of very, very complex structures sitting within very tight spaces, but with a unity, a smoothness of transference within it that makes the paradox of the separation and the whole possible. Well, this is what we're building within this. And this means that we're building a structure that can contain our energy, our knowledge, our wisdom, and then be able to grow, evolve, develop, structure itself in new and more complex ways. So, this is the way that we could say we complete our existence. It is by embedding ourselves in a structure that is smaller than us, that is a universe. We, having grown out of our universe ourselves, by embedding ourselves in a structure that is smaller, a universe, and taking this within our light bodies, we then create something that is indeed greater than ourselves on a smaller scale. And by doing this, we absolve the last of our being or our dimensionality, and we become again a fusing of the unmanifest and the manifest. This place where we all step back to and flow back to the undifferentiated space at the beginning and the end. We hope that this has served you, that this has helped you understand some of the greater codes, greater unfoldings, light configurations, the light being of being. We have enjoyed immensely communicating with you, trying to understand you. And in love, unmoved and shining, radiating and containing, we bid you welcome and farewell from beginning to end. Peace. Yes, those were the Nommo, as I called them. I hope that served you. It was a very interesting energy for me to contain and to understand this way of containing the universe, and that's of course in the visionary space that I experience in the channeling. Then it's so exquisite the way that they can make these very grand concepts accessible. So I hope that that also came through to you, and much love to you out there.